Sup guys, and welcome back to Doctor Who Discussions. My name is Charlie.
And my name is Russell.
And today we're going to be discussing Extremis.
Or do you mean Extremis?
No, because this is the 90s.
That's never the 90s.
The 90s were 20 years... Good God, the 90s were 20 years ago.
Oh God, let's just get into the episode before I have another midlife crisis.
Well, at least we're actually getting onto this episode within the span of about a month, as opposed to last time where we had a several-month hiatus.
God.
We're never going to get over that, are we?
We might as well be doing Sherlock reviews at this stage.
Topical.
Except
anyway. It's not, because Sherlock hasn't been on for a while.
And I think it's pretty much over.
I haven't even seen the last series, and I'm not going to.
Yeah. Anyway, Extremis. we're here to talk about Sherlock, the Empty Hearse. No, Doctor Who Extremis. First of a three-parter, and I think it works better as an individual story.
It does. We will be doing, obviously, reviews of the next two episodes anyway, but we're going to basically review these as individual stories and then as, like, a three-parter, because it's a very loose three-parter. Part 2 and 3 are more connected than 1 is.
Yeah, this is just sort of like a sort of prequel, which you could probably skip this one if you were just looking for story-centric episodes, but honestly, it's the best one of the three.
Yes, it is. Don't skip it, because it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's not filler. It's good, or it's good filler.
And on the note of some of this season, at least being Doctor Who does other franchises, this one is Doctor Who does The Matrix.
Yeah, we've had Doctor Who does Emoji, Doctor Who does Alien last time.
Doctor Who does Zombies in Space.
Yeah, Space Zombies.
I mean, Doctor Who's done Alien a lot of the time, but...
Technically, Alien's done Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But, Extremis, this had a really dark concept to it. Which it's very rare in Doctor Who where there's very few episodes mention suicide, and here we have like multiple conversations about how people have committed mass suicide. There's even scenes of mass suicide in this episode.
I mean, the last time we got an episode completely centered around constant suicide, it was Chimes of Midnight, and that's probably one of the darkest stories in the entire Doctor Who canon.
So yeah, pretty much, but also not TV.
Yeah, you couldn't get away with Chimes of Midnight on TV.
No.
Not with the audience the TV series is cultivated.
Not without heavily censoring it.
No.
But yeah, this was it sort of had a it was very clearly sort of doing the Da Vinci Code as well, or the Dan Brown sort of books.
Yeah, but
is it Dan Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the Dan Brown books, but actually intelligent.
Yeah.
Shots fired.
Yeah. Well done, Moff. You did an intelligent thing.
Well, you did this story better than Dan Brown ever did.
Yeah, and so you've got this text of Veritas, and it's all very mysterious, and like you've got a really interesting hook there. Like there's a text that once people read it, it's a very short text. Once people read it, they're compelled to kill themselves.
And it's been around for at least thousands of years.
I mean, it sounds very creepypasta.
But it actually works in the context of Doctor Who, because this is something that you can actually believe is a thing.
Yeah, and while there are some questionable aspects about how exactly did it come about,
and why did it take anybody so long to try and get the Doctor to help?
Yeah, like there are plot holes, but I think it's one of those cases where, like, despite there being plot holes, it's still an enjoyable ride.
I mean, I think the biggest question is how long has this simulation been going on? Have they been simulating all of human history, or have they just been simulating for the past few weeks or so, which is why the Veritas has only come up now? And they've programmed this history into the simulation. Yeah,
and again, given how I think when this episode first came out, if we did this review straight after it came out,
like we were kind of supposed to,
like we were supposed to. If we did the review straight after it came out, I think I would have had a probably negative review of it.
Possibly, yeah.
Because looking at it because when it first came out, I was sort of looking at it as like part 1 of 3, when really it was sort of a prologue to a 2-parter.
Yeah.
Which, in the end, didn't really have a major effect on the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I think that is one. It's not so much a flaw with this episode, but the whole 3-parter, which...
Yeah. Extremis is kind of like The Hobbit as opposed to...
Lord of the Rings.
If Lord of the Rings was horrendously disappointing, incredibly confusing, and really, really bad. Which, spoilers, the next 2 episodes kind of are. We'll get into those next week, but if there was one bad episode in this season, it was it's coming up soon.
We'll get there.
It's coming up soon.
Why, Toby? But now, having let it sort of rest for a while, having now doing this review nearly a year on, good grief, I enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah.
I sort of came to appreciate it as its own thing, as opposed to, setting things up for the next episode for things to hit the fan, and then allow the line to be a solution. It's kind of like I sort of do a bit of a comparison to like the end of series 3 with the 3 parts there, except that one was good.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the first part, Utopia, it's very much its own story. Like, you could, like, if you took the last 5 minutes out when you get Professor Yana to look at the fob watch, that could be very much its own story, and that would have been fine. But the difference between there and this, like, Utopia works in context with the wider story.
Yeah.
But even then, you can watch this and Utopia as like its own episode. Like, you don't need to watch the rest of the 2-parter, the 3-parter. Beg your pardon.
The only difference being that the end of season 3, the 3-parter was good. Jesus Doctor notwithstanding.
Yeah, like the last 15 minutes of. But actually, no. Like the 5 minutes before the resolution of Last of the Time Lords.
It's kind of bad.
Yeah, not your best, Russell.
No.
That's the worst I'm going to be to Russell T Davies in this series. We've still got a few more episodes of Woff.
Yeah. But yeah, like, in this case, the part 1 works better than part 2 and 3.
And one other thing I quite liked about this is it's sort of got 2 plots going on, but ultimately I think the Veritas plot is more interesting. But the stuff with Missy, particularly the intro, I really like.
I love the intro.
It's a very sort of it's a very sort of mysterious, like, it feels very Cartmel Master Plan, I guess.
Kind of.
Somewhere between like that and like, the last 5 minutes of The Force Awakens where she's meeting Luke Skywalker. Spoilers.
Everyone's seen Force Awakens at this point.
Yeah. Now, Last Jedi. I'm not going to mention that movie every time we do one of these reviews.
Only most of the time.
But there's this sort of mystique to it. Like, it feels... It makes the Doctor... Like the idea of the Doctor being this mysterious Time Lord feel much more mystical. Especially, he's being asked to execute the Master, which... It's happened multiple times. Like, I wonder if people were actually wondering, what was Missy on trial for? Pick one.
Say.
It's like it's the Master. Pick one.
I will say in one criticism I do have of this episode, and it's more criticism of everything leading up to the episode. Is there literally anybody who watched the show and did not instantly guess that it was Missy inside the vault?
Who else was it going to be?
I know.
It's like I saw people saying like, "Oh, maybe it's Gallifrey behind the vault." We just had Gallifrey.
I'm gonna say.
Like, who else is it going to be? Clara? I hope not.
I was expecting it to be Missy. I was hoping it to be
John Sim.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Spoilers for later in the season, by the way. John Sim.
Oh,
back.
That's not the Sun spoiled it like a month before the series
The
started. Sun. Damn tabloids.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not just tabloids. It's the Sun in general. The Sun is just awful.
Yeah. There's only 2 reasons why people read The Sun, and I'm not going to go into that. 2 Ronnies.
So, moving back onto our political commentary series featuring vague conversations about Doctor Who.
Yes. The stuff with Missy was alright.
A bit too spaced out. It kind of cut back and forth a bit too much.
Yeah, it didn't really... It sort of felt... I don't want to say tacked on, but it didn't quite feel like it meshed with the story going on.
Yeah, it could have been paced a lot better.
Like, there didn't seem to be a specific reason why they needed to reveal Missy in the vault in this episode specifically.
I guess it was partially set up for how she helps in Lie of the Land. But that comes later.
Yeah, which... Yeah, I'm not going to get into that because that's a really good scene and we're not doing it in this episode.
Yeah.
And also, like, the whole... double subversion they do, like, because at first it looks like the Doctor's going to get executed, then Missy comes out, and then it looks like it's her master plan, and then suddenly, no, it's Missy getting executed. and then later on, you see her get, you see the Doctor execute her, and then suddenly she's like, "Oh, get off! I'm just a bit tired." Like Michelle was great in this one. Like I'm not,
she was.
like she's had a lot of good material in this series, even though she's been. It's ironic. Like I've criticised her before, or at least the writing around her, for not being masterly enough. They keep writing her as if she's just some crazy wacko. But here in this series, where they're actually making the Master into a good person, which I have my own reservations about that, which I'll get into in the finale. It ironically feels more like the Master than in previous stories.
She definitely does feel a lot like the Mistress in this.
Yeah,
Missy is still a silly name, and I still refuse to refer to her as such. But
yeah, I'm at this point I'm only calling her Missy because it will make the finale review a lot easier.
Yeah.
But the Veritas, back onto the Veritas stuff. I think Nod. I think the main cast just steal the show again here.
Well, yeah.
Very much like last time. Like Peter, Matt, and Pearl are all fantastic in this. As I think Matt especially.
Oh yeah.
Because he ends up being the Doctor, like the sort of Doctor substitute.
The scene where he figures out that he's part of the simulation it chills, man. Chills.
Yeah, and I think this series has really sort of helped Matt Lucas, because I like seeing comedic actors do serious roles. It's why I really wanted to get into Maigret, the series Rowan Atkinson did for ITV, I think last year or maybe the year before.
Right.
Where it's basically Rowan Atkinson playing a serious role.
I mean, you can also see that with Sylvester McCoy. He was a comedic actor, and then he got the Seventh Doctor. And
oh wow, was that a serious role?
it became much, much more serious as the series went on, when he stopped being the jokey, the jokey serious Doctor and started being the master manipulator.
Never have I heard somebody roll their R's with such authority.
I know, right? It's impressive, yeah.
But I especially love like the scene where Nardol's been told to protect Bill. And Bill's like, "You don't need to do that," and he gives it the speech, just like, "I'm the only person in the universe officially licensed to kick the Doctor's ass, and you are going to do as I say. But you're just going to do as I say, as I judge for your health." Right? Are you secretly a badass? Nothing secret about it, baby doll. Something happens. It's like, "Ush!"
That totally is.
Yeah, it's like watching it back. It was just like me.
Yep, big mood there.
Big mood.
And now we're introducing memes into our reviews.
Oh, don't.
Doctor Who discussions where jokes go to die.
Also on the Pearl and I keep saying Pearl instead of Bill. The Bill and Nardole plot, like they go to CERN, and they've also got they go to CERN and they've strapped like dynamite to the tables. And while it is a chilling scene, I kind of giggle at like the drunk scientist.
He does seem like he's having too much fun for the end of the world.
Yeah, in fact, like looking back, I was thinking, are you sure he's not the Master?
Although I do get the impression it's more like, it's the end of the world, go nuts, nothing matters anymore. But he did seem a bit too cheerful, considering he was planning on blowing up everybody.
I mean, if you're gonna go out, you might as well go out.
I mean, that was a great scene. The scene of everybody counting those seemingly random numbers put all together, that was pretty chilling, and even taking out the fact that that's not really how random number generators work, it's still pretty good. It's one of those things. Like, there are things you can pick out in this episode, but it's enjoyable enough for you not to really care. It's a story about a time-travelling alien who can cheat death, trapped in a simulation by a bunch of aliens whose mouths don't sync up with their words, trying to take over the world, and it's the random number generator that breaks your suspension of disbelief.
Yes.
Fair?
Well, hey, if they're going to base an episode basically around we're trapped in a computer simulation, I expect accurate IT qualifications going on here.
Welcome to the Doctor Who fan base.
I'm getting called out for this, but luckily nobody's calling me out for my ranting about Hellbent, which I'm glad about.
We're not going to turn this into another rant about Hellbent.
Please don't.
We do that far too often.
And also, like, I do like the explanation though. Like, you know, when they're in the White House with not Donald Trump, even though Donald Trump is referenced throughout the series. You know, the way he basically describes it is like, if like you're playing Super Mario and he decides, I'm fed up of dying, I'm just going to delete myself from the game, and therefore you can't use me as your tool anymore. And to that end, like, the blowing yourself up makes sense. Like, you are basically stopping the aliens' plan for you, which it's kind of cool how the human race kind of fixed their own problem here.
Yeah.
Now I think about it. Like, the Doctor, like, the only thing the Doctor needed to do is just let his real self know what was going on.
Yeah.
Even though it had no bearing on the rest of the story, but...
Like, one of the criticisms we have about a future episode is that... Well, the next episode is that... Considering that they made the simulation to try and figure out how to take over the world, they basically end up just asking... Just asking, can we take over the world, and manipulating it so that you know, humanity says yes.
Yeah, like this whole thing seems far too elaborate for what is ostensibly, let's just show up and ask for the planet.
But I mean, my theory is, you know, they have said that they've run this simulation a lot of times, that they've killed the Doctor many times. My theory is they've run this situation so many times, and every single time it goes wrong because the humans figure it out and blow themselves up, and they realise, we can't take over the world because humanity will never give up. We have to make them want us to be in charge of the world.
So the whole plan in the next 2 episodes is basically based around feedback from this.
Yeah. It's based around...
Well,
we can't...
that's kind of the point anyway. But
we can't take over the world by force because humanity will never stop trying to get rid of us by any means necessary. Because humans are just
so they're gonna have to... Okay, fair enough. Maybe like when we come to watch Pyramid at the End of the World, that fact might improve our watch.
Possibly.
I mean, still probably won't be a great episode, but it'll be slightly better.
It's alright. Lie of the land is where the real problems lie. We'll get to that. Expect shouting.
Expect alcohol. What else? I sort of mentioned Pearl, but like the intro with her on that date.
That was great.
That was pretty good.
Like I'm very. I think I saw a bit of an interview with Paul Mackey about this. I'm so glad that Bill is a lesbian, but also that she's secure in that. Like, so many of these stories are about, oh, I'm not sure about this, oh, I'm insecure about my sexuality, which is great. Telling that kind of story is great, and it's important, and it's very, you know, it's very important to let people who are questioning their sexuality in real life know that this is not a problem. But it's also really good to see a character who is very secure in that, and is trying to help people be secure in their own sexuality as well.
Because that's something I quite liked about Bill in general, is like, you know, she's very okay about it. She's very normal about it. You know, it's not completely in your face like a lot of people seem to think it is.
But she knows who she is, and she knows what she wants, and she
wants Penny.
Yeah. But also, you get that brief bit of Penny questioning, you know, I'm new to this, I'm not sure what's going on, and Bill just trying to reassure her, like, yeah, I get that, but there's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing to be ashamed of here.
Yeah, and like, even if we don't make anything out of this, that's fine.
And then the Pope shows up.
Which make of that what you will.
Because why not?
Mind you, I said this to you while watching the episode, and this is coming from the perspective of somebody who isn't LGBT or anything like that. I don't know whether it's an odd thing that, you know, Bill is so confident in her own sexuality, but she's not out to her foster mum. Yeah, I mean, it made for a rather funny innuendo-heavy scene. Yeah, it made for a funny innuendo scene. I don't feel that because there is approximately nobody in my life who I am not out to. Yeah. You're very upfront about it. I'm very, very upfront about it. But I do get the impression that there are people who you don't want to come out to. Yeah. But otherwise, like you, I'd have to question the wisdom of not being out to your guardian or whoever you're living with, and trying to bring a girl home. Yeah, because that seems to be like on the list of people you need to come out to. I would have thought the people you live with would probably be at the top. Yeah, but it was a funny scene. Yep, it's worth it. Worth it for the funny. Yeah, and I just love Bill's like snide comments in like this and in the pilot as well. It's like, I've got very strict rules about men. Probably not as strict as mine.
That is totally a joke I would make.
Yeah.
I make all sorts of jokes like that.
Yeah. Trust me, I can confirm this.
You spend way too much time around me.
Yeah, get out of my house. But also you mentioned the Pope a minute ago, like something else we picked on while watching it, and I don't know whether it's something that was intentional, but the translation circuits don't work.
Yeah,
he spends the whole episode speaking Italian, and normally I don't get to. I'm the one fan who doesn't really give a toss about the translation circuits. Like somebody's like saying like Rings of Akaten, where you've got like aliens barking. Even though the translation circuit should make him sound English, I don't care. But like with English to Italian, that somehow that becomes much more upfront, doesn't it? Like you tend to notice it with Earth-based languages.
I mean, the two theories are basically because it was a simulation. That's why the TARDIS translation circuits weren't working, because the TARDIS wasn't actually there. Or B. Basically, I have a headcanon that the Doctor can control when the translation circuits translate stuff. So maybe he didn't translate it because he didn't want Bill to know what was going on, because she'd be worried and then she'd be in danger and all this stuff. Because, you know, as much as 12 cares about her, he does have a tendency to manipulate Bill.
Oh yeah, he's totally a mixture between the 6th and 7th Doctors.
With a lot of 1 in there, because grumpy old man hiding excitable teenager.
Pretty much. And definitely not a sexist Stephen. I'm really getting ahead of myself. I'm still salty about it.
I'm never going to stop being salty about it, but we will get to that in the Christmas episode.
I will have a full written essay about everything that's wrong with the First Doctor in that.
Once we get to that, I expect lots of shouting.
And a lot of alcohol, because hey, it's Christmas.
Who doesn't do Christmas? Who doesn't do lots of alcohol at Christmas?
Weirdos, that's who.
I know, right? Well, and those who are underage, but I think they count as weirdos anyway.
Well, I mean, you've seen where we live. There's probably a lot of underage drinking going on.
Yeah, but I still consider that anybody below the age of 16 should be referred to as it rather than he, she, or they.
They have no human rights whatsoever. So, what about my human rights? You have to be human for that to apply, Cartwright. What else? We've pretty much gone over most of the stuff.
We've covered most of the episode at this point.
I do like.
Although I will say just one brief thing. I really like Bill's coat in this. I want that coat.
Yeah, it does look great. But like Bill's whole wardrobe is great, but that coat.
That coat
is pretty good.
Beautiful.
And I did also quite like the set design in this, like the underground catacombs.
Yeah.
I do love the joke. It's like, hey, it's got Wi-Fi down here. Of course it does. It's a library.
Is that a poke at Supernatural potentially?
I don't know. You watch it. I don't.
I don't watch it anymore. One of the constant jokes about the series is that literally wherever they go, they can be in the most backwater town ever, in this cafe in the middle of absolutely nowhere, Wi-Fi. And they still have Wi-Fi. But
have you never watched a horror film? There's never any Wi-Fi or phone signal.
And something else I was going to mention something else you said to me, but I've forgotten now.
Well, I go back on me. We've been recording for like 20 minutes, so you can just re-listen to all of this.
Absolutely. No, it's like something you said while watching the episode.
Oh yeah, the translation circuit.
No, Nardole would be great at Big Finish because he describes everything.
Yeah, like the way he spends half the episode just describing everything for a blind person.
That would be great on Big Finish. And now we want him to meet River Song in River Song series 4 or 5.
Yeah, because he's basically the River and the Doctor, the Doctor and River's dog, basically.
Yeah, kind of.
And it's. Let's face it, it makes more sense than her meeting up with Peter Davison's Doctor.
Makes more sense than her meeting up with Tom Baker's Doctor, which is what's happening in the next one.
It's, you know what, it's sad that out of all the River Song stories I've listened to, listened and watched, the one where she's with the 6th Doctor is the one where she has the most chemistry with him, and it's believable.
Yeah.
When it's not even her Doctor, and she's not even his companion.
We're getting horribly off track again.
Yes. So yeah, that. Anything else to add?
No, I think we've done all the deep episodic analysis and random observations that nobody else cares about.
I mean, this episode had everything and the Pope, so.
Ha. On that terrible joke, we shall leave you until next week, where we shall be revealing the pyramid at the end of the world.
Next week? That's optimistic, isn't it?
Next time. Next week it's a figurative term.
Yeah. I'll see you next time, kiddies.
Until then, take care.
Bye.